Engineer is a man that possesses a high intellect and many gadgets to back it up. His father and grandfather were engineers themselves, after all. It runs in the family, basically. Even if he didn't necessarily invent a weapon, he sure as hell knows how to use it effectively. Well, we're gonna be analyzing a lot of them.
Building a sentry.
For starters, let's cover the Engineer's most iconic building, the Sentry Gun. Its inner workings are actually pretty easy to explain, not only because of its design, but because an entire manual for this thing exists. Official material from Valve themselves, by the way. The main components consist of the legs, ammunition supply, and firing mechanism. The ammo supply also acts as a power supply and a rocket storage, but that will be relevant later. The level 1 Sentry is a small machine gun that is mounted on a tripod. There's also an additional leg in the back to support its weight. When an enemy passes by, a small motion detector at the front is triggered. The firing mechanism is activated, and you could probably guess what happens to the guy that alerted it. The transition from a level 1 to a level 2 is actually pretty easy. The ammo storage is kept, but the Sentry's firing mechanism is swapped out. By simply turning this bolt, the front end will unlock and now can be removed. The upgrade comes in the form of 2 Gatling gun barrels. All that's left is to beat the shit up the barrels so that they can fully extend. However, some additional components are needed so the Sentry can actually fire. Firstly, ammo belts need to be hooked up since this thing is going to be chewing through bullets at high speeds. To make sure the barrels constantly spin, they need to be connected to the Sentry gun's main power supply. The third level introduces an upgrade for the Sentry's ammo supply. By aggressively pummeling the Sentry even more, the ammo supply will drop backwards. After, a mini rocket silo will be activated. Once it runs out of rockets, the launcher arms will retract and retrieve more ammo from the storage.
While I'm also at it, I'll tell you why a section on the mini Sentry doesn't exist. There really isn't much to it since it's just a smaller version of the level 1 Sentry with a light and a checkered pattern. Lighter parts are probably used in its firing mechanism, allowing it to fire faster.
Dispenser. Erecting.
The Dispenser is up next. Canonically, it's called the Dispenser-O-Matic 9000, although I don't think anyone actually calls it that. Well, the Dispenser is basically a glorified suitcase, which contains a bunch of essentials that the mercs may need in the middle of battle. Before battle, Engie probably packs a bunch of supplies in small compartments. The Dispenser needs to be portable, but also needs a sufficient amount of storage space. Let's start with the level 1 variant. The level 1 Dispenser provides the mercs with many resources. Off to the side, there's a canister containing the formula for the metabeam. The formula is a type of liquid that's dispersed like a spray when teammates walk near it. On the other side, we can find an ammo rack. Below, there's a drawer which contains rockets and extra parts that Engie can use for his other buildings. The amount of metal is displayed on this dashboard. As to how the metal generates infinitely, I wouldn't really know. Teleportation stuff. Probably. Nothing major really happens when the dispenser is upgraded. The level 2 dispenser opens a small drawer in the center. It contains syringes and first aid supplies. The level 3 variant opens up a panel at the top. My guess is that it's used for controlling how the resources are managed.
Teleporter going up.
This segment is going to be kind of short since, there's not really much to the teleporter. According to the comics, the teleporters are able to do teleporting shenanigans because of Australium. Australium has many weird properties that created other inventions in the TF2 universe. While the teleporter is rapidly spun, a lot of energy is generated from the constant rotation. This triggers something with the Australium that lies inside. As a result, a type of portal is formed. This portal brings the user into what I'm guessing is a type of pocket dimension.
Also, a type of bubble is formed around the user when they enter the teleporter, which is why particles form when you exit.
Starting off with the Frontier Justice. It was one of 3 weapons that was made by Radic and Conager. When it comes to firing, it functions like your typical shotgun. However, plenty of modifications have been made. For starters, a capacitor and antenna have been mounted above the receiver. We can also trace 2 wires from the capacitor to this gap that has been made in the shotgun. The wires end somewhere near the next chambered shell. The real magic lies in how the revenge crits work. When a sentry is destroyed, a signal is sent to this antenna on the side. The signal causes an electrical current to be generated. Excess power is stored in the capacitator. When a current does need to be sent out, it runs through these wires that connect to the interior of the shotgun. From there, the gunpowder in the currently chambered shell becomes supercharged. This results in the pellets shooting at a higher velocity and dealing more damage.
Gotcha.
The Rescue Ranger is technically a shotgun, but it's been modified to fire bolts instead of your typical shotgun shells. 2 modifications have been made to it. Engie has fitted some type of box to the barrel. We can also trace this wire to a monitor that is mounted over the scope. The monitor displays a sine wave that increases or decreases in amplitude depending on the current amount of metal you have. When firing, the Rescue Ranger will shoot out a type of claw projectile. Upon closer inspection, we can see that a battery is concealed within the claw. The battery discharges its contents into whatever building the claw hits. When Engie pulls the trigger, a repair claw is fired. As it exits the barrel, it goes through this yellow piece and receives a type of charge. Said charge is stored within the battery that each repair claw has. The amount of power that the barrel piece can deliver is limited. The current running inside of the attachment can be read using the sine graph that the monitor displays. The reading is delivered via this wire that runs along the side. When the projectile hits a building, the battery's contents are kind of absorbed. While its contents are unknown, it is capable of repairing any damage done to the structure. It probably involves metal in some type of form. Metal consumption is also involved when activating the Rescue Ranger's alt fire, where the engineer can simply pick up the building from any range. To simply put, it's teleportation magic stuff.
Nanomachine, son.
The Wrangler is yet another powerful tool that defensive Engies love using. It appears to be a joystick with an added satellite dish sticking out the front. Along the side, there's a wire running from the controller to the satellite dish. Upon equipping the Wrangler, a signal is sent out to the Sentry. The effective range of the joystick is boosted by the satellite dish. The dish runs on the controller's power, hence why this wire is needed. When the Sentry is affected, the Wrangler tells the Sentry to deactivate its weapon tracking. Since the power being used to automatically rotate and fire the Sentry is no longer used, it's rerouted elsewhere. The excess power is used to form a shield around the Sentry Gun. In addition, the Sentry Gun can be manually rotated by simply moving the controller around. When the Wrangler does get deactivated, the Sentry is temporarily disabled. During this time, it reroutes all power from the shields to the tracking system. The Eureka Effect is yet another favorite tool among engineers. It's a pipe wrench that has been modified with a spiral antenna. A wire runs from the antenna to a switch that lies on the wrench handle. Earlier, I mentioned the Australium is used for teleporting people in the TF2 universe. That does come into effect here, because Australium does play a role in how the Eureka Effect works. It kind of acts like a lightning rod. With one flip of a switch, it can act like a pocket teleporter. Within the spiral lies a small amount of Australium. When the switch is activated, the Australium will start to rapidly spin around inside. When lightning hits the antenna, the Australium reacts and causes the teleportation. Depending on how the reaction plays out though, the user's exit point can either be the spawn room or the exit teleporter. No matter what though, both options involve the user entering some type of pocket dimension.
Pow! Bam! Bam!
The Gunslinger is what Engineer has been hiding under that glove of his the entire time. It's one of the other inventions that Radigan Conager made. Although the page for the Engineer update heavily implies that Engie amputated his own hand. And then he gave himself the Gunslinger. For what reason exactly? I don't know, I guess he thought it was cool. The Gunslinger is most likely a prototype model. When an arm is inserted into the prosthetic, the circuitry in the wrist will establish a connection with the user's nerves. Nerve endings in the user's arm, to be specific. If a connection is established, the wrist section will close. While connected, the user can move around the different parts of the fingers on the hand section. The fingers can be curled up into a fist, or you can just bonk people on the head with it. The hand also has the ability to act like a type of saw blade. When a key on the side is pulled, the hand will start spinning rapidly. On the topic of prosthetic limbs, let's cover the short circuit next. It's meant to be a type of laser gun that is concealed within the engineer's glove. Since this does take up the entirety of the user's hand, I'm gonna guess that the short circuit is a separate prosthetic by itself. When hidden away, the short circuit takes the appearance of a normal work glove. Once activated though, the actual weapon is revealed. Instead of firing normal bullets, the short circuit will fire lasers instead. So my guess is that it's a type of plasma weapon. When the trigger is pulled, a small amount of metal loaded in the gun is smelted. The particles are then aligned into a bolt of energy and fired out of the gun. The plasma has the following properties. When it comes into contact with an explosive, the material will be instantly vaporized. However, the plasma has a very limited range and will quickly dissipate once it's fired. More power is used when activating the alt fire for the short circuit. When this happens, extra metal is smelted to form an orb. Since extra metal is used, more heated particles are being crammed into one area. To make sure the weapon doesn't blow up, excess energy is directed into the second barrel. The end result is a highly explosive orb. And finally, we have the one invention that has pretty much been the cause for the entire TF2 storyline. That would be the life extender machine. Australium has many properties. One of these properties seem to be
medicinal
ones. When altered and exposed to a person, Australium slows down the host's aging, increases their physicality, and ups their intelligence. It can also be injected into a person's bloodstream for similar effects. In order for the body to fully benefit from the Australium, they need to be hooked up to a ton of cables. Earlier designs were more bulky, so the Australium could be distributed. However, later models were able to fix this issue while being smaller in size. The first two models of the life extender machine were built by Radigan Conager. Originally only one machine was built for Plutarch, but Conager was paid off by the administrator to build one for Redmond as well. Jumping to the 1960s, more models of the life extender machine have been produced. Redmond and Plutarch are both hooked up to ones on wheelchairs. Greyman has one attached to his spine, the administrator has one hidden on her wrist. And the final comic shows that Zephaniah Man was being kept alive against his own will by a secret machine that was built. I doubt any life extender machines will be built in the future though, since the remaining supply of Australium was cast to the deepest part of the ocean in the final comic.